Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
What is up, all you no substrate, glass bottom, funky fish tank funkadelics out there? How you doing? If you haven't seen Fish Keeping Jamaica's video that he did on Wednesday, I really suggest you watch that, because I'm going to be going over things that he went directly off that video, and this is a rebuttal video to that one. So please check him out first. I'm gonna leave a link to his channel in the description below. And let's get one thing out of the way real fast. I got a call late Tuesday night, Wednesday morning, from Mr. Riley, where he chastised me about misspelled words. And here's how I feel about that. I have misspelled words on my thing. I do voice to text, okay? And sometimes my phone can't understand the way I speak or the context in which I speak, so it spells out stuff it wants to spell, and I just don't normally how you call it, proofread. You know, who am I to argue with technology? But ultimately, this is my point I'm trying to make. Who cares? I don't care. Y'all guys don't care. I'm going to tell you who cares. Mr. Riley. The teacher cares about misspelled words. I can imagine right now, he's watching my video, right? And while he's watching my video and he sees a misspelled word, he just grabs a red marker and starts marking up his phone, putting little circles and stuff all over his phone, leaving little comments on his phone. Now his phone got little red marks all over it. But I don't know. Misspelled words, I don't care. You know what I'm talking about. So I wrote down some of his talking points on his pros of Substrate. His first one, or one of his ones, was that it looks good. Well, like I went over in my last video, beauty is in the eye of the beholder. If it takes you, Mr. Riley, a whole bunch of stuff in your tank to make it look good, fine. I can make my tank look good with nothing. But, like I always say, it's your tank. Do what you want with it, as long as the fish are healthy and happy. The fish feel more at home. Most of the fish we have in this trade, honestly, are all captive bred. Not only that, they're all hybrids and never seen natural water before. As far as I'm feeling at home, I think he's getting at the fact that they have different hiding spaces that they would, like a wild one would hide in, and you could provide all that stuff, and you don't need gravel to do that. Like I said in my last video, now there are some fish out there that you do need a substrate. He went over spawning behavior. Yes, you do. Okay, but all that aside, you know, you can provide the same kind of hiding spaces and decorations in a bare bottom tank. You don't need substrate. This one was interesting to me. He mentioned the wear on bottom feeders, specifically cory cats and their little barbs, or barbs like he did on his video. And his argument was that without substrate, it would wear the barbs down. I got cory cats in my 90. I've had spotted pims in that 90 with very long barbs. And to be honest with you, in my opinion, that slimy, slick surface, that watery glass, is way less friction than coarse gravel or jagged rocks. So I'm not feeling that one. Yeah, I personally think that it would be less wear and tear, less friction on slick glass. Stress. Unless you have a fish that directly hides in the media like a coolie loach or a stingray, then I don't really see how gravel would decrease stress as far as hiding spaces go. Bacteria. Yes. Substrate does provide a very good bacteria media, but it also can provide a very large health risk at the same time, because it's so much of it, and if you don't keep up with it, it turns into a cesspool instead of something that's supposed to be beneficial. And it's a large portion of your tank. As far as bacteria goes, beneficial bacteria, like he mentioned, grows on the glass, on everything in your tank. It grows on everything in your tank has beneficial bacteria in it. But you should not be relying, unless you're doing one of those low-tech planet tanks, you should not be relying on substrate alone to provide that beneficial bacteria. You should be providing media in your filtration, allowing water to pass through that media so that it can be filtered properly. It does help to have it on the substrate, but your main source of beneficial bacteria really should be in your filter, whether it be a sponge filter like I use for that purpose, or hang on the backs, or canisters, or sumps, or whatever you do. Now, substrate does provide an incredibly good beneficial bacteria medium if you're using a undergravel filter, but most people don't like it. I like it, but I don't know anybody that has an undergravel filter. No, I know one other person, I'm sorry, except for me. But that's it. Health and minerals. Minerals, yes. A lot of plant substrates do have minerals in it. The rocks have different types of minerals. But I was watching L.R. Bretz one time, and he mentioned something funny. He moved, and at his old fish room, he was very happy with the water that came from the tap, because it happened to have minerals that his plants really liked and thrived in. Whereas the new fish room he has, apparently the water that comes from his well, I believe, doesn't have any of those minerals that the tap water did. So there's different ways of getting minerals into your aquarium for your plants. Most people who have plants use some kind of supplement for their plants. As far as minerals for the fish are concerned, if you're using a premium fish food specifically designed for your fish, or a premium general fish food, it has all that stuff in it, to be honest with you. Yeah, you'll get rocks and stuff, but let's be honest, most people don't use the type of substrate that he's talking about. They use the bag stuff from Petco and stuff like that, which honestly don't have any minerals in it. So unless you're using like natural rock, yeah, you can do the same thing with the food you feed them and the supplements. And lastly, he talked about providing a nice bed for your plants so that your plants can produce oxygen to oxygenate your water. Unless you have a heavily planted aquarium, then you should not be depending on plants alone to provide oxygen. You should be depending on the gas exchange at the surface of the water to provide oxygen. Plants do provide oxygenation, but you need a lot of them sustain the type of life that most people have in their aquarium. Your primary source of oxygenation should be at the surface of the water, where it's easiest to manipulate and get that oxygen to your thing. So, there it is, Mr. Riley. I listened to your video. I agree with some things. Even the stuff here that I'm kind of downing, I agree with too, and that's the great thing about this whole situation, this whole hobby, is that there's more than one way to skin a fish or scale a fish, and everybody has their own way of doing things, and if it works for you, then great. This is my preferred method. Oh yeah, and by the way, let me show y'all guys something. You see that, everybody? I'm not totally clueless to some of the benefits of a substrate. For instance, these particular little guys that I have here, substrate is necessary for them. So yeah, it just takes more time to clean up. But if you want that particular fish and it needs that substrate, then you should provide it. But if you want a particular fish and it does not need substrate, then you don't have to do it. It's honestly way easier to go without. And, here's another example. My California green veil angels. This particular aquarium, I wanted charcoal filters to keep the water nice and clear. And I wanted a large amount of beneficial bacteria. So I use substrate to provide my filtration. So there are cases where it's beneficial, but these angels don't actually need that. In all actuality, that sponge filter I have right there on the left would be plenty filtration. I just didn't want, at the time I had more of that driftwood in there, and I did not want yellow brown water, so I wanted charcoal to clean that up, and it worked. Since then I've taken the wood out, but the filtration's still fine. So yeah, there are times where substrate is necessary for what you want to do, but for the most part, not. Okay, so there it is. And like I said, if you haven't seen Mr. Riley over there at Fish Keep in Jamaica, then I'm gonna leave a link in the description below, and go over there and check them out so that you can reference what I'm talking about. Also, like before, leave a like, leave a comment, and let me know what you think. A lot of people have been doing so. So yeah, go over there and see what he has to say about what I put out on Wednesday morning.
Hello.
So I'd like to thank Mr. Riley for allowing us to do this. I'd like to thank everybody who participated and left comments and left likes. Say thank you, Mr. Riley.
Thank you, Mr. Riley.
Also, I would like to say that this little back and forth that we had going on was to do just exactly what it has been doing, which is getting people out there and talking and discussing and saying what they feel about that subject, which a lot of times people just put great tank or this very generic comments, which I understand. I do it sometimes too, but sometimes we like to hear real thoughts. It helps me out, I know. It was interesting to see who was a pro and who was con. It was interesting to see some of the people that I feel near and dear to my heart be against me on this subject. Deb Tim? E2? Oh. But that's what it's all about. Options are great. It's only helps this hobby out. So thank you, and don't point she's pointing lasers at her eyes. So anyway, say bye everybody.
Bye.